Welcome, Warriors. Today, I give you the review on the obscure Street Fighter 2010, The Final Fight. So here is my view on the game. Let's get into it. Given our current understanding of older video games, you may become rather enthusiastic if you saw the title Street Fighter 2010, The Final Fight, without knowing anything about it. Even with the constraints of the NES, you would be correct to expect something fantastic because Street Fighter 2 and Final Fight are both among the best arcade games of their generation. Additionally, Capcom, the same developer behind all three, created it. Well, neither Street Fighter nor Final Fight received a fantastic NES rendition. For better or worse, what we did get was a sci-fi action platformer set in the future that turns out to be one of the most intriguing NES games. Capcom was responsible for the development and publication of Street Fighter 2010, The Final Fight. In August 1990, it made its debut on the Famicom with a slightly altered title 2010 Street Fighter. Only a month later, in September 1990, the game was made available for the NES. Notably, this game came out in arcades before Street Fighter 2, when the series took off, but after Street Fighter and Final Fight. In addition, the game was published in all territories on the 3DS Virtual Console in 2014, as well as in Japan and the PAL regions on the Wii U Virtual Console. North America saw its release in early 2015. You take on the role of Ken, the world's best Street Fighter, in this game in the US version. Ken becomes dissatisfied after defeating every top fighter in the world and decides to study cybotics in university. He makes friends with Troy along the way, and the two of them create a substance known as cyboplasm. When taken in the right amounts, this gives men great strength and even helps them live far longer than they would otherwise. Others in the community have mastered the ability to travel to far-off planets, but Ken is uninterested in any of them. However, he must now do so because Troy was killed and his cyboplasm was stolen during a single day back at the lab. In order to get revenge for his partner's death, Ken will need to combat several super monsters that have consumed too much cyboplasm, which results in their lost their minds. In the Japanese version, you play as Kevin is a cyborg cop in the year 2010 AD in service of the Galaxy Police, codenamed Valentine Type MX-5. Armed with an energy bullet, his mission is to eradicate out-of-control parasites and their mutated hosts, gather their power to open a portal, and proceed through to the next world. Feeling pain every time he gets hurt and that something is crawling around inside of him, he finds out ultimately that he is one of the parasites himself. Dr. Jose, who was one of the researchers behind the parasites, had created Kevin in order to use him as a weapon to control the universe, leading him along this path to gain more and more power. Refusing to be used in such a manner, he fights against the Doctor, and then is left to ponder his fate. This journey takes you across 5 planets with multiple levels each. Clear all the levels to see the ending and beat this game. At the end of the game, he receives a message from headquarters, giving him a new mission to arrest or eliminate a terrorist cyborg. Debating the matter in his mind for a moment, he chooses to continue fighting and returns to Earth. The movement and controls in this side-scrolling platformer game are pretty intricate. Kevin is able to do common platformer motions. Walk about with the D-pad, leap with the A, and attack with the B. Moving against walls while holding A allows Kevin to cling to them. He may then climb the walls by pressing up or down. To leap away, press away from a wall and then jump. By holding down and pushing A, he may leap across some floors. Holding up allows you to grip onto the underside of the floor when you fall through it. You may either let go of the D-pad and hang there, or you can keep holding up to pull yourself back up onto the ledge. You may leap down from the dangling position by pressing a later. With the B button, Kevin may execute a variety of punches and kicks that release energy for a brief distance. Press B quickly to perform a series of short punches while holding up or facing left or right. You may execute certain longer range strikes by hitting the B button while holding either the left or right button. These always occur in a combination, and some of them have a tiny upward or downward slope. Before cycling back to the punches, they eventually change into kicks that strike at an upward diagonal. The diagonal kick assaults will be executed first, followed by punches in the same cycle as before if you hold down and hit B. To understand how it functions and how the assaults travel, you need absolutely experiment with it. Another stuff. You will backflip if you perform a neutral leap straight up and then hold the opposite direction. It is the only way to attack to fire straight down when you are upside down in the backflip. There are several levels on each planet that are set up as one-on-one battles. And picture of the adversary you must eliminate in this level will appear on the screen that reads Target vs. Kevin. There are numerous variations in the stages themselves. Scrolling, auto-scrolling, and single-screen levels are all available. Some regions are stages with a boss fight at the conclusion, while others are just boss bouts with endlessly spawning foes. Sometimes you only have to defeat one enemy to advance, while other times you have to defeat several target adversaries. Opening a doorway to the following stage is the aim of each one. You touch to gather the light energy that is released when you defeat the target. Once the open bar at the bottom of the screen is fully filled, the doorway to the next level is displayed. You have to move fast to locate the portal and enter in time to continue because, during normal play, a standard stage timer sets itself to 10 seconds while the portal is open. To increase your power, you can gather certain objects. You can destroy the rocks on many stages, and some of them conceal power-ups. The most popular one resembles a circle with a seed in the center. Your power level rises by half a segment as a result. Your strikes travel farther with each power bar segment, although I'm not sure if they are more potent or not. Although I never used maximum power, it seems that when you use it, your stronger shots resemble spinning discs. Some power-ups are uncommon and only show up during specific stages. One is an orb that fastens to your back and inflicts damage on foes that come into contact with it. You get a slash kick from another. Your feet inflict damage on adversaries as soon as they come into contact with them when you backflip. Enemies can also drop some things. Half a bar of health is restored by glowing orbs, and 2 bars are restored by huge glowing orbs. Although they are rare, 1 UPS are also possible. Every planet has a structural motif of some kind. The first planet is primarily a cityscape, the second is a jungle with many vines, the third is a desert, the fourth is a water planet, and the fifth is essentially a space station. While not all stages of each planet adhere to the theme exactly, they generally make sense. There are cutscenes that further the plot between each planet, revealing Ken's future destination, etc. There are several reasons why this game is quite difficult. Out of the first 5 damage bars, the majority of foes and traps only take 1 bar. Since your health carries over from one level to the next, starting a new region with poor health may frequently result in fatalities. Enemy health pickups appear to occur every 4 kills, which is detrimental in one-on-one combat. You lose your whole power bar when you pass away. This is the primary reason I was never able to experience full power. The game has no mid-stage checkpoints, and the gauntlet in the last level is no exception. Your only advantages are that you have unlimited continues, sub-areas remain clear as you pass through the portals, and you receive a health refill at the beginning of each planet. Despite having played the game previously, this was my first time clearing it. The only time I can still recall playing it is when I rented it back in the day. I believe I recall the last step, but I'm probably misremembering because it would be a significant accomplishment for me as a renter. The majority of what I recall about this game is probably from the AVGN review I saw a few years ago. From the standpoint of a collector, this game is rather common, although I would classify it as somewhat esoteric. For a long time, this game cost between $5 and $10, but it has recently gradually increased to about $15 for a loose cart. Depending on the game's duration and difficulty, I can sit through many hours and win this kind of game. It took me about 4 hours, spread across 2 nights, to defeat Street Fighter 2010. I spent a few hours working on it the first night, reaching the last planet before shutting it off for the evening. The next stream, I won the game. I needed an hour or so to get to the last stage, then another hour to complete the game. That final section is serious. On one life, you must defeat 3 previous bosses, one of whom requires a double battle, and the last boss. The timing is a significant problem only on this level. Fortunately, I succeeded. I beat the game for this blog more than 9 months ago as of this writing.to refresh myself. I ended up playing the game again last week, and this time, I finished it in about an hour and a half. To be honest, I'm shocked that I didn't lose much of my skills on this. Going back and beating old games that I haven't played in a while is rather difficult. Maybe I'll take catching up on these writings seriously now. Although Street Fighter 2010 is a challenging, intricate action game that isn't for everyone, it is unquestionably a technological showcase for the system. This game has really beautiful visuals. The surroundings and opponent sprites are really detailed, and the animations are also quite impressive. Additionally, there is a great deal of variation here. Others' boss battles include split scrolling, which can be challenging to execute successfully on the console, whereas other stages scroll smoothly in all directions. Like Super Mario Bros. 3's airships, one auto-scroller level drifts in an unconventional manner. With some of Capcom's greatest composers working hard, the music is excellent. Even while the controls allow you to do a number of maneuvers, they occasionally interfere with the action. Swinging over pillars, clinging to walls, and hanging off ledges all require dexterity, and they may also obstruct your attempts to dodge enemy strikes. Mastery of the player character is equally as important in this game as mastery of the monster and stage designs. As far as Capcom games go, this one is sometimes underestimated, and I believe that's partly because it's more difficult to play than other games in its genre. Furthermore, it wasn't the finest idea to call it Street Fighter 2010, The Final Fight, let's face it. Although this game is despised based only on its name, if you can understand it, you can have a good time. I'm disappointed in the US version for the story they put out to make it tie into the popularity of the Street Fighter series. The Japanese version is something that works, and it still could have been tied into the main games of the Street Fighter shared universe. How 1T go into why, but that could be another video. The game overall was challenging, but I enjoyed the challenging games of the 2D era. If you enjoy those games, give this one a try. If you're curious, still give this game a try. Thanks for watching, and until next time, warriors.